very good. We're going to start with approving the agenda. The agenda is on our website, and we have only one addition, and that is a letter concerning the Wesley campus. Is there anything else other than that to add? Hearing nothing, I move to approve the agenda with that amendment. And we go in the order of the agenda that if you click, you get a kind of a paper copy. That would be the order. So I move that we adopt the agenda.
I second.
All in favor? 7 votes in favor. Okay, let's move to Officer McElwee.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Sounds
Good
good.
evening, commissioners. Good evening, everybody in attendance. I'm Officer McElwee, your traffic officer here at the 2nd District. And I'm going to touch on the last 30 days of crime that was reported in PSA 205/ANC3D area. Over the last 30 days, we had 17 offenses. We had 1 ADW assault with a deadly weapon, which I will talk about in a minute or two. And we had a slight uptick in theft from automobiles. We had 13 of them last month, and we had 3 general thefts. I'm going to start off first with the ADW, also known as an assault with a deadly weapon. On August 22nd at approximately 3:04 a.m., within the 3000 block of Chainbridge Road, a victim, which was a security guard, was confronted by 3 individuals who had exited a gray sedan and produced a handgun, at which time there was an exchange of gunfire between the individuals and the security guard. The security guard was injured in the face, and he's going to be okay. The 3 individuals fled the scene in the same gray sedan that they arrived in. This gray sedan was recovered within a suburban area of Montgomery County. Our detectives are currently awaiting for the evidence forensic results that were collected from this vehicle to possibly start developing some more leads. Until then, I don't have much more to go. They're still investigating it. There were not many security cameras within that area. It was a suburban area of Montgomery County. And I'll get back to that in a second. I'm going to move into the theft from autos. As I said, we had a slight uptick. We had 13 of them. Usually, most of the vehicles that were broken into, if not all of them, had items in plain view, like backpacks, wallets, computers. And they broke the windows out, removed the items, and left the area. I'm going to give you the locations real quick, just in case any of the residents live in that area, so you know that where they're occurring at. And if you happen to see anybody suspicious, certainly call 911. 1600 block of 44th, 3400 block of Nebraska Avenue, Sibley Hospital. We had 2 theft from autos from 5100 block of Tilden Street, the 5000 block of Millwood Lane, 4000 block of Mass, 1 on Canal Road, which I believe was Fletcher's Boathouse in a parked vehicle, 4400 Mass, 4900 Mass. That's been a problem area that we've been targeting with our crime suppression team, along with other units. We've been stepping up patrols in that area and that little strip mall there. People go into the coffee shops, Starbucks, Compass Coffee, and leave their items in plain view, and they get stolen. 4700 block of Whitehaven, 4800 block of Rockwood, and the 5300 block of Macomb. While we're on the topic of these theft from autos, again, please, I know I say it every time I'm at all your meetings, but I know I'm guilty of it, but when you park your cars, please try to get these items out of plain view and try to park in lit areas and lock your car to try to prevent these types of thefts. Usually, as I said in the beginning, they don't break into vehicles unless they see something. And again, call 911. With that said, I also want to put out there, Lieutenant Collin asked me to put it out. We're going to have 2 community events in PSA 205. Next Wednesday, September 10th, we're going to have a community walk. In fact, it's going to be in the 4900 block of Mass Avenue. It's going to be 4850 Mass Avenue, be between 11 and 12 noon. Lieutenant Collin, myself, and our other neighborhood officers will be out there to take some questions. And we selected this area because we've had numerous theft from autos in that area. Also, if you want to put it on your calendar, Saturday, September 27th, Miss Branch, our outreach officer, myself, we're going to be at the new Chevy Chase Bank located at 5225 MacArthur Boulevard. Kind of a meet and greet, talk about crime prevention, meet the new staff and owners and stakeholders at the bank. So please come on out. We'll have some fun events. That'll be between 10 and 2 on the 27th of September. As far as traffic, we haven't had any major accidents, although we did have, if you live back there along Sherrier Place, last Thursday, we had a accident at Canal in Arizona, which complicated traffic just during rush hour time. It couldn't have happened at a better time. It was like 2:30, and it took several hours. And then we had a tractor trailer come down and complicate. We had to turn that tractor trailer around. So you probably saw a lot of traffic flowing through your neighborhood. While we're speaking about that area, I will give that special attention as always. I wrote 15 citations out there, or notices of infractions for cutting through. Several neighbors came out and thanked me, and we're doing our best on that. And MacArthur Boulevard, we gave special attention. I wrote probably about 15 speeding tickets out there. Since they paved the 4600 block, they picked up their speed. So we're out there reminding them with tickets to slow down. With that said, I'm open for questions, complaints, concerns.
I'll just add that if you give me a 30-minute heads up on the next time you're going to be ticketing cut through traffic, I'll make sure there are more neighbors out there. Thank you. I know
Absolutely.
you will.
Absolutely, Commissioner. You always have that ride-along ticket, that free pass.
Any other questions for Officer McElwee?
Looks like
Oh,
there's
yes.
some hands.
Ms. Tursoff?
Yes, I was just wondering if you don't lock your car and there's nothing worth stealing, or even if there is anything worth stealing, do they try the door first, or are you going to get a broken window either way?
I can't speak for the criminals, maybe they do, but again, the thing that you want to do is keep things out of plain view. And I've said this at other meetings, like it's like a fishing pond. If they're coming out and they're catching big fish all the time, people are leaving stuff in their cars, they're going to keep coming back. If there's no fish to be caught, there's no packages to be seen, hopefully we'll push them out of your neighborhood and they'll go somewhere else.
Sounds good.
Thank you for that question.
Commissioner Simkowitz?
I'm going to give everybody a tip that I learned from a guy who was an auto glass repairman. My car was broken into in Coconut Grove, Florida, when I was on vacation, and they smashed the little triangle window in the back, which cost more than my deductible, believe it or not. And I said, I made a joke like, you're paying people to knock the windows out. And he said, I don't need to, they do it anyway, but I'm going to give you a tip that will pay off in the long run. And I followed this every time I park my car anywhere. I leave the glove compartment open with nothing in it, and the center console open with nothing in it, and nothing visible in the car. And my car has not been broken into in 30 years.
Thank you there, Commissioner JP.
Yes, Commissioner Elkins.
I just wanted to add one thought about this theft from autos. I think a good analogy here is vaccines. Unfortunately, a controversial issue these days, but there are 2 reasons to have a vaccine. One is to protect yourself, and the other one is to increase the immunity of the community so that the whole community is protected. I think the same thing is true here. This is not just a message to ourselves to lock our cars. This is a case of encouraging our neighbors to lock their cars, because what we need to do is get the immunity of this neighborhood up to a point where the criminals decide to go someplace else or maybe pick up a better profession. And so I would hope, in addition to simply locking our own cars, that we encourage our neighbors to do the same thing so we can immunize our neighborhood. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for Officer McElwee.
Thank you for having us, and we'll see you next month.
Absolutely. Let's move
I
to
could just add one
yes.
thing at all possible, just two updates. One with Chainbridge Road, the detectives are going to be pushing out a BOLO for a person of interest on it. So that's a development for Chainbridge Road, and also the theft from autos, a good chunk of them, majority in the last 2 weeks, are at parking garages and stuff. So just because you're at a parking garage at whether it be Sibley, AU, what's the third one that we have recently? Sibley, AU, and 4,000 Mass or apartment building. Yeah, it's still have to keep your valuables not within view. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's go to the mayor's office. Mr. Cox, I believe, is here.
Chairman Harm, Commissioner Roosevelt has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Please.
I like cut out from the meeting for a bit, and then my computer's being very weird today. But I was wondering about the Chainbridge Road shooting. It involved a private. If we could get more information on that, it involved like a private security officer. He saw people breaking into other places, and he, like pursued them, or what exactly happened there?
I could answer that. Yes, he is private security. He confronted some people going onto private property, and upon being confronted, at some point he was shot, and then they fled. The exact sequence, I'm not confident I'm knowing the exact sequence, but both parties were armed. And
And it was private security for a store or a house?
for a homeowner.
Okay. And what is, I mean, should they be calling you immediately rather than pursuing people, or what? I mean, if it's not their property that they're defending or whatever, what is the best practice?
Well, I would hope that they would call us as soon as they can.
I know it's an ongoing investigation, so we don't have a lot of information, but
Yeah, I don't have all the info, but yes, we
thank you.
very much encourage everybody to call 911 as soon as they can, whether they're armed or unarmed, security or not security.
Yes, I see Mr. Dye has his hand risen. Right.
Yes, how are you? How you doing? This is my very first time on this, so I hope it's the appropriate time to raise an issue that I talked to Officer McElwee about. In our neighborhood in Palisades, just off MacArthur Boulevard, you've got Elliott Place, Clark Place, Green Place, and Q Street. I think there's just a really massive parking problem that has developed over the last couple of years. In particular, the last 12 months, construction workers from the MacArthur High School have been parking every morning at 6:30 in the morning and leaving their cars there. And the parking enforcement officer, who typically patrols our neighborhood about ticketing and towing cars, she doesn't even bother doing so because she said that the construction workers don't really care, and they know if they leave their car, nothing's going to happen to their car. And so she doesn't even bother even really patrolling them or enforcing the parking issues. And I have just a couple other points on that if I can. There's also a real problem with cars avoiding parking on MacArthur Boulevard who are using Elliott Place, for example, as their personal parking lot. And I'm talking about cars with out-of-state plates or no RPP. If I'm sure Officer McElwee knows Elliott Place well. The west side of Elliott Place, adjacent to the MPS federal land, has no zoned parking and hasn't for years. So there's cars that have been parking there that have been there for months, even years. And my wife and I live at 1519 Elliott Place. So we stare out into the field and see the cars that are parking there every day. And that as well as it does not include cars that are getting stolen and dumped on Elliott Place as well. So I'll conclude with saying if there's anyone on this call that can affect change in an immediate way with the Department of Public Works Parking Enforcement Division, supervisor or higher, it's desperately needed. We've owned our home for 6 years and we've seen the parking get worse and worse and worse every year to the point now where we can't even find places to park when we come home from work. So thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Commissioner Nowak?
Right. Thank you for reporting that, Mr. Dye. The one thing that I would say about the west side of Elliott is if there is no RPP, there is no ticketing to be had, unfortunately. However, the way a block gets RPP designation is by a critical mass of the neighbors of that block joining together and requesting said designation from DPW, who manages those maps. And perhaps some of the other commissioners on the call know more about this process, but I do know that it is in the hands of the immediate residents to request that. And if you reach some certain threshold, there's a high likelihood of it being approved.
Very good. Commissioner Elkins? Commissioner Elkins?
Mr. Dye, did you contact the supervisor of the parking effort at DPW?
I did, yeah. I've called several times.
And what was his response?
We'll send someone out. They have a huge workload, obviously enforcing the parking in the city, but that they'd send the enforcement officer back out. Whenever I see the enforcement officer, it's the same one I see every time in the white pickup truck. She and I have had many conversations about the issues in our neighborhood on Elliott Place, Clark Place, Green Place, and Q Street. But it just there's absolutely no change that we've seen. We've seen one ticket on one car, but if you drive through our neighborhood, you could count 15, 20, 25 cars with out-of-state plates and no residential parking permit.
Did you tell the supervisor that she was not issuing tickets?
Yes, I did.
And his response was?
We'll send her back out.
Well, the reason I think this is relevant is because now with the STEER Act, which was passed the council last year, there's a more aggressive towing program perhaps than in the past. And it seems to me they tow people who have accumulated a lot of tickets. If she's not issuing the tickets, then they're not towable. I mean, she's not helping us any. I think we need to be in touch with that supervisor again. I wonder whether maybe you and I could be in touch with each other, and I'll be glad to call the supervisor
Sure.
about this. I'm ANC3D 01. And if you could, maybe you and I could chat a little bit, and then I will call the supervisor and talk to him about it. When he goes on public meetings with ANCs, you'd think it's a great program, so we need to tell him it's not working.
Yeah, it is. It is broken in a big way.
Very good.
And if I could also add, I dropped my email in the chat. If you could email me the exact times and the locations, I'll forward it to my contact at DPW.
Great. Thank you very much. I'll do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
All right. Why don't we move to the mayor's office? I think that Mr. Cox is here and tell us what's going on.
Sure, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is William Owen Cox. I'm the Ward 3 liaison for the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services. Just wanted to plug the upcoming Art All Night event that's coming up in Ward 3. We'll have a few different of our main streets participating. We'll have Cleveland Park on September 12th from 5 to 10 p.m., Glover Park from September 12th, 6 to 11 p.m., and Tenleytown. I'm still working to nail down the times for that, but it's probably in line with the other two that I mentioned. But we hope that you come out and support local businesses, enjoy some of the great food and entertainment that's on offer. That should be a lot of fun. Other than that, no other major announcements, but I'm available to take questions. And also I have my contact info as well as my manager, Kendall Gibson's, in the chat.
Great. Are there any questions for Mr. Cox? Well, hearing none, let's move on to Councilmember Fruman's office. I believe Nora Charles is on.
I am. Hello, everyone. Okay, well, just a few announcements that I'd like to plug from our office. So we have another workday in the ward on September 25th. It's always a Thursday. This month it will be at Bread First, which is 4434 Connecticut Avenue Northwest. The day begins with coffee with the council member from 8 to 10 a.m. So he'll be there to meet with constituents, anyone who wants to stop by and chat. It's an informal drop-in opportunity for residents to meet, ask questions, and share concerns from all of Ward 3. Members of the staff will be available throughout the day to assist with constituent services, legislative issues, and communications. Our office recognizes that many residents have pressing concerns in light of recent events in the district. So we have published a list of resources to help residents, and it's available on the council member's website. So it's mattfruman.com/resources-4-residents/, but I'll put that in the chat. And we're working on making it more accessible from the landing page of the website. Feel free to share that as widely as needed. Then on September 13th, coming up, Ward 3 residents are invited to attend Ward 3 Night at Nationals Park. It's on a Saturday starting at 4:05 p.m. and the Nats play the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tickets are free but limited and available on a first come first served basis with a maximum of 4 tickets per household. They'll be distributed electronically and cannot be resold. Ward 3 residents can request tickets by completing the online form that I'm about to link in the chat. And that's all for my announcements, but I'll be here on the call listening in.
Very good. Are there any questions? Any questions for Matt Fruman's office? Okay, well, let's move on. I don't think there's anyone from DDOT here.
There is not.
Yeah, I did not see. So let's move on to local universities and colleges. Jason Millison.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me and see me?
We can.
So I want to go ahead and share a couple of different events that are coming up, and I'll put them in the chat. It's a busy time of year for American University, obviously, with kids coming back and getting into the full swing of things. We typically take this time to make sure that we're offering a lot of opportunities for the surrounding neighbors to come and interact with American University. Just this past Friday, we actually worked in collaboration with the DC Jazz Fest to put on a really cool Jazz in the Park event that was really well attended. We had over 400 RSVPs and around like 250 people showed up. It was really cool. You could see some of that on social media probably. And we worked with Joshua Bayer and the Josh Bayer Quartet and activated our outdoor amphitheater, which is basically kind of a free space, almost like a park that's tucked into American University next to Bender Arena. So if you ever get the chance and you're walking around campus, go visit that space. It's a really serene place to just kind of chill and read a book or listen to music. And we're going to start activating it more and more, like the concert we had on Friday, and do that, every single time we do these things. They're completely free and open to the public. So other things that we have coming up, and I'll send them in the chat. We've got a museum opening for the Katzen Art Center and the AU Museum. Our fall exhibits open actually on September 6th, and they start with the reception that is free and open to the public. So that's got food and drink and a chance to interact with some of the artists who are featured. A youth field hockey clinic is scheduled for this Sunday. So if you've got, and there's still availability to sign up for that. So if you've got any kids age, I believe it was 8th grade or younger, that are interested in sports, interested in field hockey, after the game on Sunday, September 7th, the athletes and the coaches are going to stick around and do a free clinic where they can get autographs and do practice and kind of learn from D1 players. September 13th, Art All Night is at Katzen. So as the previous person just mentioned about Art All Night, as the installation that goes around citywide, our Katzen Art Center is going to participate in that as well. A walking tour on September 14th is pretty cool that we're doing with Events DC. We're going to have a personalized master tour guide that works with Events DC, take residents and neighbors around the neighborhood and talk about the historic and somewhat peculiar history of the Ward 3 neighborhood around AU Park. And then the big one coming up this September, we hope as many people can come as possible, is our community liaison meeting where our president, Jonathan Alger, will speak and basically hold like a meet and greet with the community. Anyone can come. It's free and open to the public. And then after that one, we actually have a reception with drinks, wine, and food to kind of hang out and really get a intimate setting for neighbors to meet and mingle with the president as well as the rest of the AU community. So that's really it. Took a little bit of time to get through because we have a lot on our plate in September. And then from there, just be on the lookout for us to start, participating in community events. So we'll leave campus and then we'll be at 5Ks, we'll be at fun runs, we'll be at holiday celebrations all throughout the neighborhood just to show our support and make sure we're bringing AU to everybody else. So let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, if you click on any of those links, you'll see the community relations page with all of our information.
Commissioner Nowak?
Actually, I just got my question with the link. I was looking for the date on the meet and greet, but thank you for posting that, Jason.
Yes, no problem.
Very good. Any other questions for Mr. Millison? Seeing none, let's move on to George Washington University. I saw Kevin Days here somewhere.
He is here.
I am here. Good evening. I want to just provide a quick update on UW's Mount Vernon campus. First of all, the semester's off to a good start. You saw a lot of activity as new students arrived. There's about 616 students at the Mount Vernon campus, and it's always full of energy as it starts a new academic year. Again, we want to extend the invitation for folks to feel free to use that facility, come on campus. I also want to highlight that we are going to have our next Mount Vernon quarterly community meeting. That will take place on Thursday, September 18th at 4 p.m. This will be a virtual only meeting, and I'll put the registration link along with my contact information in the chat when I'm done. At that meeting, we provide updates on fall semester. We also talk about campus developments. You get a chance to speak to the dean of the college, Betsy Schinberg. We'll also be introducing our new police chief, Victor Bruno. Gone blank on his name. Victor, I don't have it in my notes. It's Brito will be there. You can welcome the chief and ask, and he'll answer any questions. And there's also a community forum where we're able to talk about any issues that neighbors may have. So I hope we'll see many of you there. Appreciate the time to be able to come to your meeting and give you these updates. And I'll be done with my update. I'll be ready to answer any questions if there are any.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Days? Seeing none, let's move on to Georgetown University. Mr. Peterson.
Hey, good afternoon or good evening. Corey Peterson with Georgetown University. Appreciate being able to provide a few updates here. We had our move-in weekend last weekend on campus, welcoming back around 6,000 students or so living on campus and others in the community. Our neighborhood life office is offering a community cleanup option for those students when they come back, buying couches and cleaning up the rental spaces. So we've been offering that. It goes through this Friday. We've also been offering it to the community. So if anybody's interested, let me know. We do have a few spots open this week where we could come by, collect a mattress or something that you need to get rid of. We're happy to do that. We also have started hosting night games at Shaw Field. And I want to shout out Commissioner Simkowitz. He's come to one of our soccer games and watched us play. They've turned out to be really a great addition to the campus and are not creating any objectionable impacts, or at least none that we've heard of or seen. They seem to be doing really well. So if you would like to come to a game, please let me know. I'm happy to put some tickets at the door for you, and you can come by and visit, see our women's or men's team play on under the lights. And then last but not least, I wanted to talk a little bit about our senior citizen auditor program and our GU learning courses. These are for adults 55 and 65 years and older. We have reduced courses where you can audit an undergraduate class. Many folks in the community have done that. I've got some folks in the cloisters, for example, that have done this for about 18 or 19 years, and they remind me of that, and it's an awesome way to continue that lifelong learning. And then we have some other courses that are offered by some of our retired faculty, and they love to come back to campus and teach, and I will drop some of this in the chat so you can sign up. Those are my updates for today, and Commissioner Duncan, I see you have a question.
I do. Are you also collecting electronics like TVs and stuff as part of your?
We can, yes. Yeah, we usually do that more around the move out drive in May, but if that's something that we can help collect, we're happy to do it.
Okay. And then you may have already gotten an update on the slope stabilization project, but DC Water is going to be giving us a presentation here on the new traffic pattern update, if you want to stick around and see if they have anything new.
I will be here. Yeah, given that it's so close to our entrance, it's been a keen interest of ours.
Thank you. I'm finished. Thanks.
Yeah.
Very good. Is there another Commissioner Simkowitz?
Mr. Peterson, I wanted to compliment the lighting architect for the new soccer field. It is amazing that there's no bleed into the national park, which is right behind my house. And in the old days, there was a lot of bleed, and it didn't bother me, but it bothered a lot of my neighbors. But this one is just an amazing job. They point directly down on the field with very little, if any, bleed. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Are there any questions, any other questions for Mr. Peterson? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Brown from Wesley.
Yes. And Patrick Brown, I'm a neighbor and counsel for Wesley. I wanted to give a seminary update briefly. First, the 5th annual movie night is scheduled for September 13th, starting at 6:30, movie time at 7 on the famous Sledding Hill. And the movie will be Moana 2. So all are welcome, refreshments, and always a lot of fun. And classes started at Wesley the 25th. Preliminary numbers are enrollment head count is up about 8%. Hours are up about 5%. The available beds on campus are full. And some of the newest students are former federal employees who were displaced. So an interesting addition, unexpected addition to the enrollment. And on the business side, which we can discuss later as needed more, Wesley filed its further processing application August 8th, and currently a hearing is scheduled on that for November 24th. That'll be finalized hopefully in the next few days, but expect to hear more from Wesley as we move through the end of this month and October and November. We're going to have some CLC meetings and other informal meetings to discuss elements of the plan.
Yes. Any other questions for Mr. Brown? None? Okay. I saw Sherry Rutherford is on the call, and I was just wondering if she wanted to tell us anything, or whether there's nothing to report this month.
Good evening. Nice to see you all tonight. I've got nothing specific to report this month. However, I will follow up on Commissioner Simkowitz's comment about the lighting at Georgetown. You'll be pleased to know that the team that designed the lighting for Georgetown is the same team that designed the lighting for the field school. So we hopefully will have the same outcome when those lights are installed as well. So just wanted to mention that.
Very good. So let's, is Mr. Spiescher here from the German embassy? I do not see him.
He does not appear to be on.
Okay, fine. So let's move to commissioner updates, starting with Commissioner Duncan. Oh, I'm sorry, starting with Commissioner Elkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, but I don't have anything tonight. Thank you.
Commissioner Duncan?
I would like to announce that the next Transportation Committee meeting is September 25th. That's a Thursday at 2 p.m. We are trying to move these to Tuesdays, but we moved it to Thursday that week because of Rosh Hashanah. And we did get an email from the German embassy that said that they plan to finish by the end of this year, dependent on weather, I believe. So I think we're coming up on the end to that. And that's all I have.
Very good. Commissioner Colin Roosevelt?
I don't have any updates. Thanks.
Very good. Commissioner Blumenthal?
Just one. Anyone who doesn't travel down Arizona Boulevard and hasn't in the last month should know that the protected bike lane above MacArthur Boulevard has been fully removed in favor of unprotected painted lines. I raise this because a member of the Transportation Committee, Andrew Beath, emailed me before the meeting to point out that we did get a reply of sorts from DDOT, an official reply to our opposition to the NOI. It didn't really respond to anything significant, but I don't think we placed it on the website. And I think that would be a good idea to do so that everyone can see it. That's all.
Very good.
I can get that done.
I don't have anything special to add. Commissioner Nowak?
I have nothing.
Commissioner Simkowitz?
I'm going to save my time about the Patricia Bollinger death update for later because it's an official action, so I don't have anything other than that. Thank you.
Very good. Are there any community members of the community that want to bring up issues that are not on the agenda? If they're on the agenda, then you should wait for that to address it. Okay, seeing none, why don't we go right to the discussion, the DC Water Slope Stabilization Project.
I believe, Ms. Jordan, I'm going to spotlight you.
Okay.
And if you could maybe shout out members of your team that you would like to join.
I have Amanda Zander, and Matt Wolniak, and they will assist me if there are any questions.
Okay, give me just a moment here. Let's see, does Amanda Zander have her camera on?
No, she doesn't.
Okay, then and who was the last one that you said?
Matt Wolniak, he's a traffic engineer.
Oh, yes, we have met him. Hello, I'm going to give you a spotlight. And then I am going to allow you guys to share your screen.
Okay, thank you.
And here, sorry. Okay. You should be all set.
Thank you. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So thank you for allowing us to come back and present an update to the slope stabilization project on Canal Road. We were last here July 2nd, and we want to present tonight an update to the project approach. When we were here before, we had one westbound lane that was closed for the duration of the project with a reversible lane during rush hour. So the revised approach reduces that impact on traffic with some limited phases of night work and one lane closures during off-peak hours.
I will say, if there's any way you could maximize your slide on the screen, we might be able to see it a little bit better. It just looks very small.
Oh, it does? Okay, 1 second. Let me stop sharing and reshare.
For those of you who aren't familiar with this project, the slope on Canal Road is going through a major stabilization project. And this will be fine. We should be able to.
Is this a little better?
It's
It's
fine.
about the same.
It
Can you
is?
try to hit maximize? Does that work? Oh, sorry.
Let me try one more time. Excuse me. Okay.
But Dee, I think when you load it, if you hit the top right corner, it might enlarge it.
And if we have to just go forward, it's fine. You all usually are good about sharing the slides.
Okay, I think I had it. Excuse me. How's this? Is this better?
Let's give it a minute to load up. Yes.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that
Thank
works.
you so much.
It had to do with how I had it laid out on my computer, so I expanded it. All right, here we go. So this yellow arrow indicates the area where we will do the slope stabilization work, and that is on Canal Road between the entrance to Georgetown University on West Road and Foxhall Road, which is to the left of the Foundry Park entrance. This area here is where the slope needs to be worked on prior to us coming to the area to do our work for the Potomac River Tunnel project. So we will address the safety issues of the slope before we begin our work for the Potomac River Tunnel project, which will be on the top of the hill. There are different phases of work, which includes setting up the site and maintenance of control, removing trees to allow for work access and to prevent instability on the slope. The crews will come and scale the slope to remove loose rocks and debris. They'll install rock and soil anchors and protective mesh, followed by seeding the area, and then they'll cover it with a wire mesh, high-strength wire mesh to protect the area further. Afterwards, they'll restore the area where we've been working. So this is an example of what it looks like where I was talking about the high intensity mesh with the bolts that will be placed on the slope. This is a photo of how the slope looks now. This is an example of the work after the mesh has been installed. And then this is just a rendering of showing the slope once the plants and vegetation begin to grow on it. For this first phase of work, it's the tree removal part. This will take approximately 3 weeks to complete. Starting as soon as next week, they'll begin mobilizing at the top of the slope area, which involves removing some of the trees, installing a security fence, and setting up sediment and erosion controls. Then they'll begin the work where you'll experience your first sidewalk closure with an off-peak lane closure expected to begin on a Saturday. This will be also short duration closures at night to remove some of the taller trees. And this phase is estimated to take about 5 nights to complete. So this map here shows the off-peak hours, which are Monday through Friday, 10:15 a.m. to 3 p.m., and the 1-lane closure. And that is the westbound lane adjacent to the site. At night, it will be the same with a 1-lane closure. And those hours are 8 p.m. to 6:30 p.m.
Can I ask a question? I'm not sure I'm reading this right. For those 5 nights, will there be no lanes going westbound from?
No, just one lane only will be closed. There are 2 lanes westbound. 1 lane will be open and 1 lane will be closed.
But
these are for short duration periods.
Okay. But for for up to a maximum of 5 nights, there will be just periods. There's about a handful of trees that hang over 2 lanes. So when they cut those 2 lanes, they'll close it for about 15 minutes and then reopen the road. Okay. But there's not a whole lot. 5 is a maximum that we're going to see this. It's more likely to be in that 2 to 3 night range, more than likely. It's just for the trees that hang over close that would fall into the median, basically.
And will flagmen redirect cars into one of the eastbound lanes during those closures of both westbound lanes, or will?
No, during the 15-minute closure, it'll be overnight from 8 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. It'll be during that period. And so and more likely in the middle of the night when traffic volumes are the lowest, there will be advance notice out there telling people that this will happen on a certain day and to be ready for that portion of that 15-minute closure.
So is there not a risk that it's a limited risk because of the volume overnight of cars, but you could have cars backing up potentially to the Key Bridge? I mean, it's not unheard of at all that it would go back to the Key Bridge or onto M Street in Georgetown.
There will be some backups. There's no doubt about that during that closure, during those periods. That's why we've tried to limit it to as little time as possible and when the traffic is as low as possible.
Yeah, and Matt, I think also it's just good to note that this is maybe like one or two or three kind of stops like this. It's not going to be a reoccurring thing. So there's like a few branches that hang over, so they're going to get it done as quick as possible.
Yeah.
I see there's a question from Andrew B.
Right. So if I understand this correctly, the sidewalk is going to be completely closed for the duration of the project?
Yes, and we'll get to that slide that talks about a shuttle service that we will have open and the different detour routes that will be available.
Okay, so I had a second question because we had discussed this last meeting and provided feedback that that was unacceptable and that an accommodation should be made for pedestrians and cyclists who regularly use this path, and that you've not made those accommodations, as I understand correctly.
Andrew, let's wait till the end of the presentation.
Okay, all right. Okay, no, I just appreciate it if you could clarify that.
I will. So for this next phase of scaling, this is where this will take approximately 2 weeks to complete. The scaling will be done during the day without lane closures. And at night, there'll be 1 lane closures to allow for the removal of debris. When we get to the third phase, we'll be installing bolts, mesh, and hydro seeding the slope. So the work during the day will be to install the bolts and mesh without lane closures. When they reach the lower portion of the slope, it'll be required for them to take a lane to be able to do those lower areas. That will be for approximately 2 weeks and from 8 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Saturday at night. The hydro seeding work will take approximately a week to complete. We also need to take a lane for the equipment to do the hydro seeding work. And this will be during the off-peak hours from 10:15 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Saturday if necessary. This whole phase of installing the bolts, mesh, and hydro seeding will take approximately 15 weeks to complete. So for the pedestrians and bicyclists, for the sidewalk closure, we will operate a shuttle service that will operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It has a capacity of about 4 to 12 passengers, allowing for bikes to be placed on it as well and ADA accessible. The shuttle service will have a stop in the right lane entrance to the university, but will not enter the university. It will go past the area where the work occurs and go up to Foxhall Road, where there'll be a second shuttle stop. There will be signage in place, helping riders with a number to call for the service to come and pick them up. The shuttle service will operate between Foxhall Road and it'll use Canal Road and it'll have to do a U-turn on 33rd Street. We'll be able to monitor this service and make any adjustments after we've monitored it for a bit to see if we need to adjust the hours or anything, but that will be in consultation with DDOT. Our project is expected to take about 6 months and a half or so to complete between September this month and February of 2026. We do have a web page that is open and ready, dcwater.com/slope. And if you have any questions, we have a dedicated email that you can reach out to us at DC Potomac River Tunnel at dcwater.com. And I can put that information in your chat as well. And that's the end of the presentation.
All right, questions?
I guess I have one question.
Yeah.
You, for that whole September through February 2026, will the sidewalk be closed that whole time?
Yes. They'll reopen when the work is completed.
Mr. Beef?
Actually, I have a comment, not a question. If it's okay, I can go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm very disappointed. DC Water, I think almost everybody that spoke at the last meeting gave you very clear feedback that this solution of closing the sidewalk and providing no effective accommodation other than a call-up shuttle for those who want to walk and bike just a few hundred feet is completely unacceptable. This is, you know, there are other options which are clearly available to you to take some of the road space, to make that accommodation, which I understood was DC law. I'm actually even surprised that this project is legal. Maybe we should look into that. But in any case, whether it's legal or not, it's incredibly disrespectful to those who just want to bike or cycle, or walk or cycle this short distance to Georgetown University. And I just cannot believe it that you cannot come up with all of your resources, with all the money that we pay for our water in this city, that you lack the creativity or the resources to come up with a proper solution. This is one of the worst projects that I've come across. I've lived in DC since 2004. I can't think of any project that has disgusted me as much as this one. And I'm sorry to be blunt, but I mean, we provided our feedback last time. You've ignored it. I don't know what more I can, how else I can describe this project.
Okay.
Are there
Go ahead.
any other questions?
I have something. I'm assuming DDOT is issuing a permit and they've approved this plan.
Yes.
Yes.
We have received all of our permits.
I mean, Mr. Beath, we asked these same questions and we were basically told that the cohort that is going to be, has the fewest number of people being affected was the pedestrian cyclist cohort, and cars just were a priority.
Right. So those of us who are minorities have no rights, basically. I mean, according to DDOT. I mean, that's those of us who. Anyway, you get the point. But
I
that
totally get the
reasoning
point.
just is atrocious and offensive.
I do think that it ignores the fact that there's people who live in our neighborhood without cars. But everybody's aware.
So I'm not happy with this solution either. But if we are taking a realistic viewpoint, Mr. Beath, cyclists especially drive up and down the vehicular lanes on Canal Road all day, every day. So I am very sympathetic to the pedestrians. I think they are the most inconvenienced of the inconvenience groups. I think the cyclist, it's de minimis because they'll just jump in front of cars as they do.
Marilyn, I ride that route every day. I can't remember the last time I've seen a cyclist ride on Canal Road. That's almost suicidal. I mean, maybe in the weekend, but not during the day. Not commuters. I mean, and I mean, I won't even speak to the prejudice that your comment gives rise to.
Well,
you could say that it's prejudice. Listen, I'm the biggest supporter of bike lanes out there. So let's not make this a car versus bike thing. I'm just saying to you that the idea that cycles or bicycles are not on Canal Road is just not accurate.
Okay, so look, let me. My son takes that route every day. Do I want my son riding riding on that road? No, I do not.
Of course not. This is
So
suboptimal
that's the point,
no matter
right?
what. And I prefaced my statement with that this is suboptimal.
Okay, so I don't know what your point is that you're trying to make. That
Okay.
you're saying that cyclists can just take the road. I'm telling you that's not acceptable. That I would not do that as a cyclist,
All
and I
right.
would not want any other cyclist to do
I
it.
think we have, told DC Water what we feel, and that's the purpose here. I wanted to go to Commissioner Simkowitz.
Thank you, Chairperson Horn. I happen to agree with Mr. Beeth about there should be another way to do this project without impacting the pedestrians or the bikes. However, we've asked DC Water to provide us, other options, and they haven't. So I think that it's incumbent upon DC Water to take back our concerns yet again to see if there's another way that we can limit this closure to as few days as possible, whether it's a few days, a few weeks, or a few months, whatever the time frame is going to be. But we don't want this to go on forever. But the other thing to make Mr. Beeth, me, and Commissioner Nowak, who are the people here most affected by this, is for DC Water to place signs all up and down Foxhall Road between Canal Road at the river all the way up to Reservoir, directing people that are on bikes or walking to take an alternate route, such as Reservoir Road through the Georgetown University campus, because this is just a horrible plan in my opinion. But and I agree with Mr. Beeth on this. But if it's a necessary plan, it's just something we have to deal with. There are other options that we have. They're just not very good options. So thank you.
And our communication with the public will include the other detour routes that pedestrians and bicyclists can use. So our map is being updated and it'll be posted on the website. As we mentioned before, each change to a traffic pattern, we will send a traffic advisory out, including to your community through the 3D. We hope you share this with your constituents as well. If any residents want to be added to our database to receive direct updates from us about the project, please, I just put our email address in the chat. Send us an email to DC Potomac River Tunnel at dcwater.com. We'll add you to our database to receive updates from us.
Ms. Jordan,
Sorry, could I just ask one very short question? So if I'm a resident of Foxhall and I want to walk to M Street, what's my alternative route?
It's through the campus, Mr. Beeth, and I mean that's what I do.
But how?
every day. I honestly, I could. It's probably shorter distance wise to go on Canal Road for me where my house is. But if it's raining, you get splashed by the cars. It's just not at night. It's unsafe. We had a murder back there in 1998. You don't want to go that way in general. It's not a very good way to go. So I think that what I'd like Miss Jordan to do is put up signs. I don't think it's good enough to send a blast out because we've got a lot of tourists that come through here, a lot of people that commute from Maryland. So I would appreciate if you as DC Water would put up signs all along Foxhall from Canal Road up to Reservoir, and also I just remembered on MacArthur, from MacArthur and Reservoir up to Reservoir. Because I think those are important roads that people take, and they need to know that they won't be able to get down to Georgetown on that road during the duration of this project. So Mr. Beeth is 100% right. There's a lot of people that go there. A lot of people are impacted by this. But if you're going to do this, very few people, honestly, are going to ride the shuttle bus. It's going to be used a couple times a day. Most people are going to divert and go a different route. So please let them know in advance of getting to that corner where it starts that they should take another option if they don't want to ride the shuttle bus. And that's a sign. That's not an email.
We have a number of hands up. I think Commissioner Colin Roosevelt was the next one.
There's a question from Nick Keenan in the chat, which is basically what I was going to ask. I mean, when you came to us about 2 months ago, as we didn't have a meeting last month, the major concern was about the shuttle, about the sidewalk closure. I understand the hours were changed for construction to make it less during rush hour, but it doesn't seem like any changes were made regarding the thing that we had the most concerns about. So is that just not Is there no other viable path other than shutting down the sidewalk for multiple months? Is there no other way to get this project done?
Well,
We
I
did we looked at different options and could tried to look at everything, tried to keep the sidewalk open, we increased the amount from the top that we would do since we came to this last meeting. And the contractor was just very concerned that we were going to have rocks coming down onto the area and they have to collect somewhere. The trees have to be taken down. They have to be somewhere too. And so when the trees are being taken down, we can't have people walking down the sidewalk and like that. So that was some of the things we did to try to think of a way. Believe me, if from our standpoint, we would like to keep the sidewalk open. I mean, it's a much safer and it's a safer way of doing things and things like that. We didn't find a way to keep it open, working with our contractor.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on what Matt said. The safety is the biggest priority here, and so not only are we trying to be safe while stabilizing the slope, but there is some value that the slope is getting stabilized because it's not necessarily safe right now. So I hope for the pedestrians and bikers that use this route, although I know it's going to be a massive inconvenience for the next 6 months, that there'll be some security once it's opened again, that there won't be the instability that has occurred before.
That is true. Commissioner Duncan?
I wanted to make sure I understood where the sidewalk was going to be closed. If someone is coming down Foxhall onto Canal, they will be able to get to the tunnel, correct?
Yes, correct.
So that would be also very valuable to put on those maps and signs to show people that there is still access to that. I think that would be very important. And I mean, I don't know if it's possible, but maybe on, some Saturday afternoons, if 2 lanes of traffic are open, maybe on a Saturday, one of those could be used for pedestrians. Just a thought.
Okay. Thank you.
That does include that you can use the canal towpath, the Capitol Crescent Trail, and Reservoir Road as well as alternative routes.
I wanted to say a couple things really quickly, but Commissioner Duncan's point makes me want to amplify it a little. I used to commute every day on Water Street and the Capitol Crescent Trail and occasionally go through the tunnel. I don't remember where there might be a protected or other bike lane from M Street down to the protected lane on Water Street. But if there is one and there's a way to officially mark it as more of a detour, I think that would be useful. Not particularly helpful, I think, I don't know. It is an alternative route. To the extent that this project carries forward to any sort of frozen precipitation, that the embankment up out of the tunnel becomes essentially impassable to anyone on a bicycle. If there's any kind of ice on it, it's a death trap. So putting resources into that, clearing, I don't know what you can do, but the more you can do on that, there's also the question of safety in that tunnel, which I think is an issue for many in the neighborhood. There are new lights there, which is an improvement. Anyway, I throw that out.
Okay.
I did want to just say to Commissioner Nowak, with all respect, and I am a very confident cyclist, you will see bikes and the most confident sort of pelotons of bikers on weekends. I cannot remember seeing them in the midst of rush hour, and that is what we're talking about here. If you're going to jump out into traffic that's backed up for 3 blocks, I can only imagine what the reaction from the drivers are going to be, particularly when you get to the end of the obstruction and then you try to stop and get off and get back on the sidewalk. It's not a practical thing. The other thing is going west to east. Where exactly would you go? I mean, are you taking a lane all the way past the Key Bridge? With respect, I don't want that to be seen as a sort of viable choice for anyone. It would be unsafe. It would obstruct the traffic that's already backed up. And last, the last time we talked about this, I think I asked, I'm now gonna blank on his name, but the person from DC Water about whether these changes of Mr. Wolniak, I think we had an exchange about whether the changes that you're making would be a sort of help create the possibility of widening the sidewalk at some future date by DDOT if funds would be available. And I think you said this would be essentially a good prerequisite. So on the hopes that Mr. Peterson from Georgetown is listening, I think if we as a community went together to DDOT, all of us, Georgetown, even the business district, and made a plea to widen that sidewalk, that might be the silver lining that comes out of this awful disruption that those pedestrians and cyclists are going to experience. That is all.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, this will stabilize it and will make it better for if you want to come back and do the sidewalk at a point.
Yes, Mr. Cox, did you have something?
Yes, I just had a question for our reps from DC Water about if this is going to last into February, or how they expect snow plowing to take place, and if they've prepared for that, and if they can share their thoughts.
Matt, can you help with that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the phasing. Well, every day the lanes will be open. It's only going to be closed during the off-peak, so plowing can take place during those times, during the different times they aren't working. And if it's a snow event, they're not going to be closing a lane because it won't be possible to work at that point.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Mr. Reith, you have your hand up. Is there something new that hasn't already been said?
Yeah, just a couple of things. So just first, I mean, I just wondered about the trees that are there. Obviously, they're going to be taken down. Is there a plan to replant those trees on the hillside? Because frankly, the image that you projected does not look very nice, very aesthetically pleasing. So I hope there's a plan to reforest that embankment. But just secondly, building on the comments that a number of the commissioners made, I would implore you to consider two options to accommodate pedestrians and cyclists. One is taking part of the roadway, as is often the case with construction projects, where cyclists and appropriately placing barriers to protect walkers and cyclists, so they can walk along Canal Road. If that's not safe and that's not possible, then I would strongly encourage that you look at improving the pathway that JP referenced, which goes through the park from Foxhole to the university, or even looking at, maybe out of your budget, but also look at strengthening, rehabilitating Palisades Trolley Trail. So that could be, the Foundry Branch Trestle Bridge. So that could be used as an alternative. So there's various other options. I'd be happy to consult with you further to go explore these options. I want to be constructive, but I just think the options that you're putting on the table are, like I said, quite disrespectful to those of us who walk or cycle to M Street and beyond using that path. So happy to work with you, but appreciate it if you could take another look at this.
Very good, understood. And I should have mentioned that Ms. Centina also asked about what about the trees and other vegetation? Are they going to be replanted?
Yes, trees will be replanted. They will not be replanted directly on the slope in order to maintain the integrity of the stabilization mesh, but they will be replanted at the top of the slope. Some trees will be replanted prior to our work of the Potomac River Tunnel. And once we complete our work at the top of that slope for that project, we'll continue the restoration and replanting of trees.
So what's under the mesh? Rocks or grass or?
Yeah, so they are during the scaling phase, they will be removing some of the debris on the slope. They'll be cutting the trees as well on the slope. And then they will put a type of, they'll put hydroseed seed on the slope to start to replant, not trees, but smaller vegetation on the slope area.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? I think we've gone through this pretty thoroughly. All right, well, thank you so much for this presentation. And I think you've heard how people feel.
Yeah.
Yes, and we've taken notes as well. So
Yep.
thank you for your time and thank you for your care.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Let's go to official actions. The first one is the Georgetown University Hospital Bell Ringer Ride for Cancer Research. Commissioner Duncan, did you want to explain that?
Motion on the floor is to approve the permit for the Bell Ringer Ride. This is a ride that supports cancer research. It's a really good thing. We approve it every year. There is Ms. Kate Wilson on the call if anyone has any questions about the Bell Ringer.
All right, is there a second? Before we get to discussion, yes. Commissioner Nowak seconds. Is there any questions about the Bell Ringer?
I don't have a question. I would just want to say something nice about it, which is all of the other commissioners should know by now that I participate in a very similar event in Massachusetts and have for 15 years. The Bell Ringer is in large way a derivative of the PanMass Challenge. It was inspired by it and operates under the exact same awesome formula, which is that it's structured in a way so that 100% of everything that's donated to individuals who ride goes to the hospital. It's a great, great cause.
Very good. Anything else?
Call the question.
Let's vote. All in favor of this letter? I see 7 votes for and no votes against. Moving to the next is the resolution concerning federal emergency intervention. Commissioner Elkins.
Mr. Chairman, I bring forward a resolution, a letter to address the 30-day federal takeover by the president, and I'm asking for a second.
Is there a second? Commissioner Simkowitz seconds.
Let me say a few words about this. I wanted to make sure this was on our agenda in some form. I put it on several weeks ago because I knew that there was probably and almost certainly unanimous feeling among all the commissioners, and I imagine most of the people, if not all on this call, that of being concerned and upset about the steps that were taken to, I'm just using shorthand, essentially federalize the city. And I had drafted a version of a resolution that's going around among other ANCs that essentially condemned this and asked the Congress not to extend the 30-day period. But events yesterday changed, I think, the whole perspective on this. And it may not be something that initially you might agree with me on, but I hope maybe I can persuade you. I think that what the mayor has done is actually brilliant. I think, and I want to tell you why in a minute, but procedurally, I think it would be helpful for us as an ANC to show support for this action by the mayor, because I think a number of people will simply condemn it on the basis, well, it's giving in to the federal government, et cetera, which I think is a little short-sighted. What she has done, I think, is such that we have much less to worry about as an extension of this emergency period by the Congress. I think she has hopefully effectively short-circuited that. So we won't have the Congress extending it. And I think because of that, the other resolutions, including the one I drafted, I think would be not very effective and really almost performative. And I think all of us, if we could, would like to do something effective. And I think doing something to support the mayor at this particular time, we happen to be acting very quickly after she took this action just because of the timing of our meeting. And I think we should do it. Now, why do I think this is brilliant? Well, all of us were upset about the fact that the National Guard was brought out, the federal troops were brought out, the White House was trying to run the police. But let's be realistic. The mayor and we cannot order the National Guard to go home. We can't order the federal troops to go home. But we can essentially take over the management of how they're operating in the city. And I think that's what the mayor has done. And according to the Washington Post, she consulted closely with the White House on this. And I think the White House reportedly is in support. So why is this a good solution? Well, Trump, as you know, created a task force to essentially run this occupation. The mayor now, with the White House agreement apparently, has created the safe and beautiful, you got to have the beautiful in there, the safe and beautiful Emergency Operations Center to take over the work of the task force. And who's going to run this? The Deputy Mayor of Public Safety and Justice. The city is going to be running this. It's going to coordinate all the federal response. Her order insists that DC laws be obeyed. It does give credit for reported decrease in violent crime. And it does promise to urge, cannot require, urge the federal personnel not to wear masks while interacting with citizens and to show their identification of their agency. Now, it's not perfect, but under the circumstances, it does give Trump the credit he wanted, which is reportedly violent crime is down, and allows him to focus elsewhere. I mean, you just read the press, he's ready to move on to Chicago or wherever. If he gets the credit, the crime is down, the mayor is coordinating these federal resources. Some of them will still be here. I don't know how long. The mayor doesn't know either. But I think the focus may well turn away from DC. So I think that a number of people will be critical of this because they say you should not give 1 millimeter to the president. And I'm of that sympathy in many cases, but I think this is a case where I'm not of that sympathy because I believe what the mayor has come up with here is a good solution. You could call it a compromise, but it's one that I think moves us forward. And quite frankly, I think the other resolutions, including the one I drafted, are essentially performative. And this ANC, if anything, is against performative actions. We try to make a difference in the DC government. We don't always, of course, but we try. And we don't just sort of go out and make statements and feel good. So I'm urging us to take a hard look at what the mayor has done and give her some credit for finding what may turn out to be a way to slowly put this issue to bed. So I ask your support for the letter, which basically supports the mayor, emphasizes the aspects of it in terms of DC control, the coordination, et cetera, and then even offers our assistance if there's anything that we could do to help. If you feel that's overstatement, I have no problem taking that last paragraph out. But it does seem that perhaps ANCs can be of some help going forward. So if so, And if they think so, I would think that this commission would respond positively. So, Mr. Chairman, I put forward this letter and ask for discussion and hopefully a vote soon.
Who would like to speak to this?
I'll go, but I've got a long discussion, so I ask your indulgence on this. But if somebody else wants to go first, please.
I'll start. I will not be supporting this. I feel very strongly that the presence of federal troops, National Guard, armed, walking around the city, masked agents, is all based on an emergency that is not real and is likely illegal, and a court may find that to be so. And I believe that appeasement, which I think this deal that the mayor has made, is dangerous when you look back in history, and provides legitimacy to what has happened here. And I am not in conscious, cannot ever vote for something that supports this. It may very well work by ending the emergency, but it sounds like we could just have masked agents and armed National Guard walking around the city. And I think the whole exercise is not about crime, or else we'd be addressing crime in all of our cities, because we're not the worst. I think that it is designed to inure us to the idea of having these people in our city streets. So I will be voting no, and depending on the discussion, I might offer an amendment. I yield my time.
Yes, Commissioner Colon Roosevelt.
This is not so much on the substance of the letter, but just the process here. Could we get the letter on the screen? I know there are a lot on our website, but I don't think any of those are actually what we're voting on. So I think it would be helpful for all of us and anyone watching, so we know what letter. This is the first one, but I think the one that is under the website for Commissioner Elkins is not the letter we're
So
voting on anymore.
it's the third one in the list, but I'm happy to bring it up.
It's
called
so
the draft letter supporting Mayor Bowser's order for a safe and beautiful emergency operations center.
So when I click on that, I got the Endesco proposal, unfortunately.
No. Okay, I'm gonna fix that.
I just think having it on the screen would be helpful for all of us.
So it's there on the screen.
Can you scroll it up just a little bit?
I'll see if I can scroll up. Here we go.
Yep.
There you go. Thank you.
That does it.
Commissioner Duncan, I think you could probably drop a link in the chat if you don't want to leave it up for the whole discussion.
That is a great idea.
All right. While we're doing that, who would like to speak next?
I'll go.
Commissioner Simkowitz?
Yeah. So I've spoken to probably 50 people about this issue. Most of the people are DC residents, some from other parts of the country, and somebody texted me from Corsica, France, of all places. I knew her from Georgetown, and she was concerned. And the vast majority of the people contacting me had Commissioner Duncan's opinion. And so that's something that on voting on this, I think we have to think about and consider. However, I believe that Commissioner Elkins' letter that's on the screen now is the appropriate letter for the current state as of yesterday, when Mayor Bowser came out with her statement about the extension of the cooperation with the federal government. As sure everyone knows, since I've been on the ANC, my focus has been on reducing crime in the District of Columbia. We had a tremendous increase of crime in the past 4 or 5 years compared to the early 2010s, when crime was at a record low in my lifetime. A few weeks ago, before allegations that our crime data was being manipulated to show that crime was down, when in reality the crimes may have been reclassified as less serious or not registered at all, there was a common belief that crime is down in DC. Well, I have to ask, what is it down from? It's still bad. In 2012, we had 88 homicides in DC. I went back through my records in October 2023, when I'd speak regularly on crime at this ANC. We had 216 homicides year to date. This year, we've had 104. Well, that's a significant reduction, and we have to thank the Metropolitan Police Department for their efforts in controlling crime. But it's still 104 people that are not with us that should be, frankly. Carjackings are down. We've only had 195 carjackings this year, where in 2023 at the same time we had 757. That's another significant reduction, but it's still too many, in my opinion. I mean, we shouldn't have any carjackings. We should live in a society where people know that if they carjack somebody, they're going to go to jail for a long time. Another problem we have is a reduction in our MPD force. We should be around 4,000 officers. A couple years ago, we, as an ANC, voted on a resolution to increase the number of officers. In our resolution, I went back, we were at 3328 2 years ago. Now we're only at 3181. So we've actually lost officers during that period of time, which I think is insane, because we were begging, we as the ANC were begging the city to increase bonuses, to retain people, do whatever we can do to increase our numbers, and we've been backtracking. So it's a miracle that our numbers for crime are where they are, because statistically they maybe should have gone up a little bit. One problem that we fixed it with, is overtime. We've spent millions and millions and millions of dollars with overtime for the officers that are currently working at MPD. We should have more officers on the street rather than making people work 50 and 60 hours. And when they work over 40 hours, we're paying them a lot of money to do that. Why is controlling crime important to me? I'm a 5th generation resident of the District of Columbia. I've lived here under good times and bad. I lived here in the 80s and the 90s when crime was really bad because of the crack cocaine epidemic. But during that time frame, here in ANC3D, we were largely unscathed. It was somebody else's problem. It didn't happen to us here. Unfortunately, crime has migrated throughout the city, and we do have to worry about crime. There has been several carjackings on Foxhall Road, right near all of our houses. The people that live in our community are among the richest and the most privileged people in the entire city, if not the whole country. We're lucky to live where we are. However, it's easy when you live in neighborhoods like ours to think, oh, crime's somebody else's problem. Well, when we take our oath of office, our oath is to the city as a whole. And my relatives came from other parts of the city. My maternal grandparents from Anacostia, and my paternal grandparents lived not far from the Southern Avenue metro stop. So these are areas that today are hard hit by crime, and I can't stop and just go on with my life when knowing that my grandparents' former neighbors are suffering. Personally, my personal experience with crime is a lot different than many of the people that live in Ward 3, because I've lived here my entire life. I know what crime is. If you live in DC your entire life, or in the DC area your entire life, you're going to know people that have been victims of crime. Unfortunately, my 16-year-old cousin, my dad's nephew, was murdered in a robbery. He was a kid. My other cousin he was just out of college. He took a job working for the homeless the unhoused, and the people less fortunate than we are. And he was beaten up on the street and sent to the hospital. My grandmother's best friend, 65-year-old lady, lived in Anacostia, walking down the street, going to dinner, murdered in a robbery. One of the scariest things that personally ever happened to me, when I was in high school, my dad owned a liquor store on the DC Maryland border by the Temple of Praise over near Eastover. And I came home late at night, and we had one of those landlines that everybody had back then, and the phone rang. So I picked it up, and it was my dad's manager, and he was just frightened. He said, "I just killed somebody." And I said, "What?" He goes, "I need to talk to your dad. I just killed somebody." It's like, "Who did you kill?" And he said, "Somebody was robbing me with a gun, and it was going to be him or me, and I shot him and killed him." That's pretty scary for a high school kid, and that stayed with me. My brother Ryan has a friend named Mike Gill from Holy Trinity School where the kids went, and he was picking up his wife on K Street last year when he was carjacked and murdered in rush hour traffic on K Street. He had a bunch of kids, he had a wife, he's dead. These are things that we normally in our neighborhood don't have to think about. But if you live here long enough, you're going to know people that have been murdered, that have had their cars stolen, that have been carjacked. And that's why I've taken the position that I take. For at least the last 5 years, the DC Council has made conscious choices to implement policies that really made it difficult for the police to do their jobs, and also to give criminals break after break after break. And they have policies like the Youthful Act, which makes you a youth until you're 25. Uh, those policies have failed, which has resulted in our crime crisis that we have suffered for the past few years. We need to have a tough on crime approach. And I was in the hearing room in Congress when Chairman Mendelson got up there and stated under oath, "There is not a crime crisis in Washington, D.C." When he said that, the entire room gasped because everybody knew that wasn't true. You don't see that on TV unless you're in the room, but I saw it. A couple weeks later, Mayor Bowser's deputy mayor for safety, Lindsay Appiah, got up and said, "Oxford defines a crisis as a time of intense difficulty, trouble, or danger." And so I would say that we find ourselves in a time of intense trouble or danger. So I would say that this time is a time of crisis. I want to be abundantly clear that the blame for the crisis is not for Mayor Bowser, but it's rather with three distinct groups: the DC Council, the Attorney General for the District of Columbia, and the Office of the United States Attorney. We did not prosecute cases that we needed to prosecute to the fullest extent. I believe Mayor Bowser has done everything she can do to stand up for the rank and file members of the Metropolitan Police Department and our law-abiding citizens. She's asked for more resources for MPD, and we just haven't delivered on that promise. Mayor Bowser is also a multi-generational resident of the District of Columbia. She also, like me, remembers the bad times of the 80s and 90s, and she's fought against these policies that the DC Council attempted to implement. She even vetoes some of their crime bills, such as the Criminal Code Reform Act, that they vetoed her veto. It went up to Congress. Congress vetoed it, and then the president, our friend President Biden, signed that. So to be smacked down by the president of the United States on crime, who is a Democratic president, who's aligned with us, who's on our side, and has had our back for 50 years, that's pretty embarrassing. A few weeks ago, against the wishes of the vast majority of the DC residents, President Trump called up the National Guard and sent them and other federal law enforcement officers out to DC to augment the work of the men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department. On an objective level, this deployment has resulted in many dangerous individuals being taken off the street. No one can deny that crime has been down since the deployment began. Late yesterday afternoon, Mayor Bowser announced that Lindsay Appiah, her deputy mayor, will lead the Safe and Beautiful Emergency Operations Center in managing the district's response to President Trump's task force. Both during and after the crime emergency declared by President Trump, Deputy Mayor Appiah will manage the District of Columbia's response, coordinate centralized communications, and ensure cooperation with federal law enforcement to the maximum extent permitted under the law of the District of Columbia. In my opinion, crime exploded because the DC Council really didn't do its job and actually made it difficult for us to live in this city. We don't have statehood, therefore we're subject to the federal government's whims and will. And I think that Commissioner Elkins' amended resolution really highlights the fact that Mayor Bowser had to walk a really fine line, and she's doing that. And therefore, I ask that my fellow commissioners support Mr. Elkins on this resolution and vote for this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Blumenthal.
Could I ask that we stop sharing the screen?
Yeah.
And then I have something I'd like to say. Thank you. I've been thinking about this all day. I've been thinking about this for weeks before it was a resolution. I start by saying I am acutely aware that I owe my existence to the promise of the United States. And that's because, and let me tell you why, I'm not a multi-generational Washingtonian. It's because I have 4 immigrant grandparents, or I did. All 4 immigrated separately from different parts of the Russian Empire about 100 years ago, ultimately to Cleveland, Ohio, where they all met, all fleeing persecution and all seeking a better life. Before that, my grandparents had been subject by various autocrats, and see if any of this sounds familiar, subject to forced deportation, to political violence in the form of pogroms that furthered an extreme right-wing political movement by demonizing them as agents of foreign influence. To reach the United States and the promise of the United States, they would have done anything. And that, for my grandparents, included variously evading the Russian draft, forging documents, sneaking across borders, in one case paying criminals who we would now call human traffickers to carry them across the river that separated Russia and Romania. And so much as my grandparents loved this country, they were never fully comfortable. And that's because less than a year after the last 3 of them arrived in 1920, the Golden Door slammed shut. And their siblings, their cousins, their aunts and uncles were left trapped behind and met a much worse fate about 20 years later. By the time I was a teenager, and my obsession with campaign politics in Washington had become obvious, there were the ambition that would ultimately bring me to live here. There were several men of my grandfathers had passed away, but there were several men of their generation who sort of gently admonished me with 4 simple words. They said, it could happen here. And I thought they were nuts. I thought they were silly. And now what do I see in our city just over the last few weeks? And again, just in our city. And I want to quote and paraphrase from a very powerful piece published by the historian Garrett Graff. I'm quoting in places, I'm improving on it, I guess, in some places. In the last several weeks, we've seen a president used armed military units from governors loyal to his regime to seize control of this city. The Pentagon has armed the National Guard and sent armored combat vehicles to patrol the Capitol, where they're colliding with civilian vehicles because war transports aren't supposed to be chasing cars around on civilian streets. Civilians have tried to lawfully execute their right to document the abuses of the regime. They themselves have been arrested and charged with felonies through trumped-up charges. Armed officers of the state are now routinely demanding papers on the street of men and women heading home from work, and masked men wrestle them to the ground, sometimes with MPD officers standing by, and abduct people without due process into unmarked vehicles, disappearing them into an opaque system where their family members beg for information. In my view, the thing my grandparents warned me, is happening right here. And I want to say, I deeply, deeply object to anyone characterizing anything I've said as performative. This is a question of what is right and what is wrong. And we're voting on a resolution here that states a properly coordinated effort between the district and the government and specified agencies of the government can result in a reported decrease in violent crimes. Great. I am not opposed to any effort to fight crime. I'd like to know whether we can do it without appeasing a dictator. So I will not be voting for this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Nowak?
The first word that comes to mind, and it's been cited by two of my fellow commissioners, excuse me, is appeasement. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute. But I want to go back to the stated objective of the president when he signed his emergency order, and that was to fight crime. As we know on this commission, there are multiple facets to fighting crime. The first and the most obvious is the police force. And Commissioner Simkowitz is right. The council erred in their prior terms when they cut back on the targeted number of police officers and they cut the budget. I think that is an error which continues to bite us in terms of a lack of a pipeline of officers and recruiting efforts. So if the federal government wanted to help us, they could give us more money to hire more officers, to put in higher signing bonuses, to increase salaries so that officers didn't see overtime as their path to a living wage. They could allow us to request support from federal law enforcement officers. We'd be having a very different conversation if the DEA and the ATF and all the other alphabet soup of federal officers were on our streets at the request of our council and mayor. That is not why they are there. They are there because they were put there by somebody from outside of the district government. The federal government could approve judges and help us clear the backlog in our courts so that justice could be done once arrests are made. If there's a concern about preparing for trial, they can give us more funds to upstaff the AG's office. So to say that this is the only way to fight crime is just not accurate. I said I would come back to appeasement, but before I get to appeasement and what we think of as a 20th century sort of action, I want to take us back to colonial America when Benjamin Franklin said, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Of course, we'd be the safest city in the world if we had federal agents on every corner. Let's put cameras on every corner so that our every move is tracked and we live in some sort of dystopian science fiction novel. I don't think any of us are looking for that. It is not outside of the imagination that that's the path on which we're headed. During the mayor's press conference, she talked about how crime was down substantially during the period of the increased federal process. As I understood it, there were an additional, if we look at the path that the MPD was doing without the federal law enforcement officers, there were something along the lines of 100 extra arrests. That came from a force of 2,000 officers and National Guardsmen. So that tells me that MPD is doing their job. And if we get more bodies into the mix under the control and using the protocols of MPD, we can get to that end while still maintaining our liberty. Finally, on the point of appeasement, my sons both worked at the National Holocaust Museum, and I am loath to jump to comparing what's happening here to things that happened in Germany and in Poland. But to Mark's point, there comes a point when it's impossible to not draw parallels and to not say, inch by inch, we are losing our freedom. Appeasement didn't work for Chamberlain, it didn't work for Poland, and it won't work for DC Home Rule. I'll be voting against this letter.
let me say what I feel here. I'm going to be voting against this letter. I agree with what, at least parts of what all the commissioners have said. I think that we are reflecting the debate that's going on, not only in our city, but across the country. But in this case, I think that the mayor probably feels like she's doing the best she can, and that this is the strategy that she can best pull off. But I don't feel like I can support her for the reasons stated by other commissioners. I do think that it is essentially appeasement. I do not think that it's going to work. That is, Trump and MAGA will do whatever they want. If they want to back off right now, they'll come back later. If they don't want to back off now, they won't back off. I don't think that what the mayor says or does is going to make any difference. So I think it's better to speak with one voice, join in with what I understand is the great majority of ANCs who are condemning the federal militarization of our city. So I'll be voting against this particular letter. Is there any other commissioner that wants to speak before I ask non-commissioners to speak? Yes, Commissioner Simkowitz.
Sure. The Washington Post put out an editorial by the entire board, which is rare. And they stated that Mayor Bowser understands what resistance politics did for the country the first time Donald Trump was president. Not much. By partnering rather than fighting, Bowser has a lot more sway over how the federal officers pouring into the city get deployed. It's better for the city to have a seat at the table than not. This is why I think that Mayor Bowser really has been a great mayor, because she's standing up in a way that she might get something out of it. If she just acted like another mayor from another city, where they give the finger to President Trump, bad things, worse things could happen here in the city. I totally get the point of Commissioner Blumenthal and Commissioner Nowak and Commissioner Duncan, but I think we have to reflect the reality that we're not a state. We don't have the ability to fight. We're being forced to accept this, and Mayor Bowser has a tricky position that she's in, and a tricky position of maintaining our home rule, which is definitely a threat right now.
Commissioner Elkins?
I want to say that I agree with almost everything that's been said here tonight. I am as opposed to what the president has done as all of you are. I've been out on the picket line, the demonstration lines, like many of you have. I think the real difference is my judgment, and I can see I differ from you about how we can be helpful. And we could call it appeasement if you want to. That's an easy term. I think what Colin just said in terms of the mayor trying to find a way through this thicket, I think she deserves our respect. But I can see that I don't have the sympathy of my colleagues, and I'm happy to withdraw my letter. And I have another letter before I can put before the commission. I think Commissioner Duncan has a version of it that's even tougher. And I think this commission should express itself with regard to this topic. And so I'm willing to go with how the commission wishes. But I think we should all recognize that there is total agreement, I think, on the commission about what the president is doing. And the only difference is what the heck this commission ought to do about it. Thank you.
Commissioner Horn, if I could make things easy and clean before we continue this discussion, I would like to make a motion to amend this letter and replace it with the resolution condemning the federal intervention in DC that has been voted on by a majority of the other ANCs. You can find this, I just checked the link on our website. It is a draft sample resolution adopted by other ANCs. The full updated version is there with red lines. Do I have a second? Commissioner Roosevelt seconds the motion. This is an motion to amend. So we're now voting on this new, our vote will be this new resolution.
Is there any debate about that? Or shall I go to non-commissioner? I just want to make sure that all commissioners get to speak first. Commissioner Simkowitz, were you gonna?
Yeah, I don't think I can support this for the simple reason that I think that we need to speak with one voice as a DC government, and we elected a mayor to do that. And you know, I think when the mayor has gone out on a limb and done what she did to protect us, I don't think anybody can say that she's got our interests not at heart. I think she's looking out for us. I think this would be disrespectful to her office, and even though, you know, most of the people that we represent are opposed to the federal takeover, I think we should trust the mayor, and because we've elected her 3 times.
I would note that Commissioner Blumenthal put a hyperlink up on the chat. If you click on that, you can read this particular version. So I'm going to move to Mr. Keenan, who's had his hand raised, and I've delayed him until all the commissioners spoke.
Thank you, Commissioner Horn. I don't see myself on video. I don't know if I am or not, but
you are.
Okay. So real quick, we have an obligation not just to the ANC or the city, but to the rest of the country, and really the rest of the world. And we have a president today who is a reality TV star. His way of implementing policy is to announce things and then lose attention and move on to the next thing. What he wants more than anything is to be able to announce people capitulating to him. And that when we capitulate to him, we enable him. And we've seen this with the law firms and with the universities. That I actually spoke to somebody at one of the law firms that capitulated to Trump, and he said, well, the deal that they offered was so good, we just could not accept it because it basically cost us nothing. If we had not accepted, it would have cost us enormously. And that's Trump's strategy, is just to be able to announce a capitulation. And so I feel that the mayor, you know, I realize that she is in a very difficult position, but our obligation is to stand up and say, no, we're not going to give in for the sake of expedience, because that just makes it worse for everybody.
Does anyone else want to speak on this? Oh, yes, Commissioner Duncan?
I would like to add that there isn't nothing we can't do. I believe that the Attorney General Schwab immediately filed something in court claiming that this emergency was illegitimate, because it is. And this whole business of this order of the beautification and safe whatever gives me such a queasy gut reaction that this is not right. I really would like to support this resolution that the other ANCs have done, even if it is just to show solidarity with the constituents of the city. We don't govern, the ANCs don't govern. We don't have a lot to say, but I don't think that us passing this or not passing this is going to do anything to change Mayor Bowser's whatever she's got going on with the White House. I don't even think they'll know about it. So I hope that the commission will support this resolution as is. Thank you.
So I think everyone has
I
said.
just want to say one thing.
Yes, please.
We have to remember, and remember, I'm a lawyer. We can file a bunch of lawsuits, and we might win at the district court. We might win at the circuit court. But when it gets up to the Supreme Court, the DC government is going to lose on all these issues. And that's a reality that we have to accept. So, again, I think that by working between the mayor and the president, that we're going to have a better outcome than if we're dictated to. And maybe that's appeasement, but that's where we are right now.
Nick Keenan, did you want to say something else, or is that hand from previously?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to lower it.
Okay, great. All right, so I think everything's been said. So I think we're voting at this point on the amendment, which is the resolution condemning federal intervention in DC, which is the document that's hyperlinked in the chat. So shall we vote on that? All in favor of that amendment? Okay, I believe it's 6-4, and against, 1 against. Okay.
For the reasons that I stated before.
Understood.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hope we don't have too many more discussions like that, but I'm afraid we might. Let's move along to the Albemarle Street public space application. Commissioner Duncan, did you want to explain what's going on?
Yes, I do not have a motion, but I guess I want to, well, I learned something that I want to share with the commission, and I wanted to ask if we want to take any action here. So this is in Spring Valley. There is a big lot and the house is being torn down, and 3 new houses that are maxing out their lots are going in there. And public space application has been submitted for 3 lead walks. There are no curb cuts, so this will not go before the Public Space Committee. So technically, there is not something that, we can submit and have great weight. However, we had talked about asking DDOT to require builders to build a sidewalk where there is none in front of the homes. I don't know, this might just be a simple email that I send asking them to consider that if they go there, but these are 3 new homes. There's not sidewalks on either side, but there are sidewalks nearby this area. And so I just wanted to put it out there to see if we want to send something over.
Very good. Would another commissioner like to speak to this?
I think whenever you build a house, you should build a sidewalk that goes with it. And if you don't do it now, it'll be 50 years before it happens. So let's do that. And if somebody wants to do a resolution, I'd support it.
Commissioner Elkins?
I remember when we were asking for this same solution down on
Eskridge.
Eskridge, yes. And that the staff person at DDOT sort of scoffed at the idea. But I believe I remember that the director later expressed consternation that the department had been opposed to it. And so I think there might well be some sympathy for this at the Department of Transportation, and I think it's worth raising it, perhaps with the director. I think she has really put a much greater emphasis on sidewalks than any of her predecessors, particularly new sidewalks. And it might be worth, it certainly is worth trying.
Commissioner Colon Roosevelt?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I definitely agree. I'm just wondering what the best way to go forward with this would be, because it's not necessarily a comment we're going to put on the, like, it's not a comment I would put on the permanent tops for sure. It would be a separate resolution. But that again is like not specifically for this development. It's sort of for everything that we would definitely like to see this, citywide, not even just in Spring Valley or ANC3D. I know Gary has a comment that's in AU Park, but this is like the one block of Albemarle Street that's in Spring Valley. It has no sidewalks on any side. It's like a dead end. There aren't that many houses there, but there are no sidewalks anywhere. And I do wonder if this should just be a resolution we send to Kirschbaum and be like, we should have sidewalks constructed when there are none. If there are going to be these, I guess in other areas of the city there won't be. This isn't actually a problem because most of the places in the city have sidewalks, but we have tons of development and tons of places with no sidewalks, and I think this is a really good idea.
Commissioner Nowak?
I just have a question, and I'm thankful to Commissioner Elkins that he brought up the homes on Eskridge. Commissioner Duncan, do you know if a sidewalk were put in place, would it create any conflicts with the placement of the homes as proposed?
So at this particular location, this is not like an Eskridge situation where there's no curbs. Like this is a fully engineered street.
Okay.
And the plan is here. They could do it. They wouldn't want to do it. But
These homes are within the statutory setback. So if they're, 25 feet off the curb, cutting 5 feet or whatever is required for a sidewalk is not going to have the developer jumping up and down saying we can't do this.
No, these lead walks are pretty long.
So the question is how to proceed. Is this something that we should do now, or would it matter if we just wrote something for the next meeting and use this as an example?
I like that. I like Commissioner Roosevelt's idea of like, let's maybe formally put this as an ask. Hey, we have a lot of development here with spec houses. Let's make it a policy to put those sidewalks in. I like that. And perhaps Commissioner Roosevelt and I can work on drafting something and we can bring it up next month. Okay.
I think that'd be a great solution. And we might actually get somewhere. All right, let's move on to the request for explanation of prosecutorial decisions for Patricia Bollinger's death. Commissioner Simkowitz?
Thank you, Chairperson Horn. A few weeks ago, I sent a formal letter requesting an update and an explanation on the death of Patricia Bollinger, who was a pedestrian that died on Foxhall Road. I sent that to the United States Attorney, Judge Pirro, and I sent a copy to the DC Attorney General. And I've received phone calls back and emails back from them explaining that they will be getting back with us in the future because they need to ascertain what exactly happened, because this is one case of many. So I will give you another report in October, hopefully.
Very good. All right, well, we look forward to that. And let's move on to comments on the omnibus text amendment. Commissioner Duncan, would you explain what that's about? You're muted.
Sorry. If you recall, the Zoning Commission is doing a huge text amendment that they believe is going to help streamline things coming before the BZA. And there was a webinar that I participated in, and they just did a set down report. And Commissioner Horn and I have been keeping an eye on this one. And if I could, I want to share my screen. This has to do with parking. Here we go. Can people see this?
Yeah.
Okay, this particular text amendment is regarding parking regulations for projects that are grandfathered into the 1958 zoning regulations. So I am going to use the example of the apartments above Black Coffee. When they came before us and they were going to do the apartments above, because the retail on the first floor was built before 2016 zoning regulations and it was going to be the same use, they were required to keep the parking from the 1958 regulations. What the zoning commission is proposing is that they get away from that. Like all of the parking requirements are going to be 2016 for everything. Now, you're not going to be able to just go and eliminate parking for your existing project unless you go make a change. I'm sorry, unless there's like conditions already put on this by the zoning commission, it's not going to reverse that. But we are talking, if there are no conditions put on that project by the zoning commission, this is going to affect thousands of buildings in the city. And we had asked the zoning commission, or when I gave my comments at the thing, I said, you know, you do have zoning regulations that might only go into effect where there's high frequency bus service and there's adequate public transportation that we do not have here. But I feel like this regulation is going to affect us. And I'm wondering if we want to, I'm basically going to solicit comments because I would like to vote on something at next month's meeting. And do people have any questions? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that this is a problem. I think that they are trying to wipe out something that we helped ensure, which is that the buildings that were built under the 1958 regulations and were required to have a certain amount of parking can't just automatically get the 2016 regulations, which require far less parking. Of course, you know, anybody can go before the BZA and ask for an exception. This would give it to them of right. ANCs wouldn't be able to object. So this doesn't come before the zoning commission until late October, and I would support a resolution at the next meeting asking them to do this differently. Possibly, it doesn't necessarily have to be no, don't do it. Personally, I wish that they would take it away from this omnibus vote and make it a separate discussion, because it's a really, really big deal that nobody's talking about. Commissioner Elkins.
Just clarification, I'm not sure I understand this. So if a person has a building and they really are not making much change to it, can they get this benefit, or do they have to be essentially redeveloping the property, such as those apartments on MacArthur?
The way I read it, unless that property has conditions from the BZA or whatever, they can just, they're not required to put that parking in. Like they could eliminate it.
In other words, let's say they have a certain amount of parking in the existing building, and just without making any other changes to the building, they just could fill in those parking spaces with something.
That's my reading of it.
I believe so. And we're talking about all the buildings that require parking from 1958 to 2016. So what is that? 80 or 90% of the commercial and multifamily buildings it's a really big deal that they're trying to hide under this ton of other small things. Commissioner Nowak?
I really like the idea of not simply trying to make this go away, but to tie it to other criteria. So, for example, if you're in a building on H Street or on Connecticut Avenue, they're in a very different, their needs for parking are very different than ours because they have ready access to public transportation. So I think that might make it more palatable to those constituencies who are looking to drive high density development close to public transportation.
Okay, so Chairman Horn, before next month's meeting, we'll have something circulated. And hopefully we all agree. We will obviously take suggestions, but I like the idea of a more nuanced approach. I think we're a little bit different over here because I like to say this, and I sound like a broken record, but we are the only ANC without high-frequency bus service within our borders, adjacent to our borders, close to our borders, the only one in the city. So they're going to treat us differently, maybe, yeah.
All right, we'll work on that. The next official action is the letter concerning the Wesley campus. Commissioner Duncan?
Yes, the motion on the floor is to transmit a simple letter to the zoning commission asking them to keep the November 24th hearing date with one amendment from the letter that's posted on the website. We have not been at this for 2 years. We've been at this for 4 years. Do I have a second? Commissioner Nowak seconds the motion.
Yes.
I sent the commission a little background. There's been some back and forth between Wesley Seminary and the NLC and the Spring Valley Wesley Heights Citizens Association. And they are, I don't know, Chuck, what's the word for it? Squabbling or nitpicking over the application that Wesley did. This letter does not address any of that. The zoning commission can address that with Wesley and the NLC themselves. This is only asking us to keep this on the track November 24th, and I ask my colleagues to support this letter.
Is there any other commissioner want to speak to this? I think it's pretty simple.
I'll just say that I like that we are specifically saying to the zoning commission that we're deferring to their judgment on the substance of the matter. I think that makes it more hopefully palatable to them to stay the course, as opposed to them thinking we're trying to put our thumb on the scale, which clearly we've done in the past. We've shared our beliefs in the past, but in this case, it's really just about process.
Yes. Any other comments? All in favor of this letter? I see seven in favor. Okay, let's move to commission business. Treasurer's report, Commissioner Elkins.
Mr. Chairman, it's time for us to consider our budget for next year. Let me first report from the treasurer's report for the month. We have approximately $79,000 in assets between our savings account and our checking account. This year, coming year, starting October 1, let me scroll here a little bit better here if I can do this. We expect an allocation of about $18,000 from the city. I show you here that we had a budget of about $27,000. This last year, we didn't really expect to spend it all. Our expenditures through July have been about $14,000. And I project that that will be our expenditures through the whole 12 months. I'm proposing for your consideration a budget of 19,700, recognizing that we will probably expend less than that during the year, but this essentially takes care of our priorities. The procedures in the bylaws are that we discuss it at this meeting and vote on it at the next meeting. So there no need for a vote today, but it would be helpful to the treasurer if he had comments about how to edit this budget so that next month we would come in with something that was either this one or something different. I am proposing that we move the administrator to the purchase of service below, as shown below. That is one change, but it's a paperwork thing. It's not a substantive change. I am allowing a little money in here in case we do need to rent a room, meeting room. Do cover all of our engagement software, for which is $2,000 a year, our document storage website and others, allowing for some supplies. We have a grant that we gave, which has not been paid so far in fiscal year 2025, and I suspect may not be paid by the end of the month. And if that's true, we need to budget for it next year so we don't get blindsided. We've promised to give the grant, so we need to give it if they are ready for it. So that's $2,600. This is over our allocation of essentially $18,000, but I think it's a safe budget since we have $79,000 in the bank. I would ask, Mr. Chairman, whether people have any questions or comments, which we could then vote on next month.
Questions or comments for the treasurer?
Just thank you for putting this together.
Okay. It's fun, isn't it, Marilyn, to do this treasurer job?
Yeah, I mean, there are harder ones that it's always nice when you have money in the bank to be able to do a
Right.
budget.
So, Mr. Chairman, I don't think we don't have a vote here. I'll just bring it back next month if that's okay with everyone.
Sounds good. All right. And the treasurer's report itself, we have to vote on that, right?
I'm sorry?
The treasurer's report?
The treasurer's report, I did not submit it, but it essentially shows that Catherine cashed her 2 checks, and that is the activity since the last report.
Okay.
I think we only need to vote on the QFRs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that will be hopefully at our next meeting.
Okay. So let's move on to the proposal to fund feasibility of a roundabout. Commissioner Elkins, do you want to kick this off?
Yes, let me see if I can share my screen. Actually, is my share screen, does it show an example from Asheville? It's on my screen, but I don't know what's on your screen.
Yeah, we can see your budget still.
No, not the budget. Okay, I need to share something else. Just a minute. Hold a second. Stop the share. Oh, I see Mr. Heimert is with us. That's good. Hold just a second. Let me see if I can share here. One thing I wish Zoom would work on is sharing easier. Okay. This is just to remind people what a roundabout looks like. It does not have traffic lights. And it is a way of handling the traffic from when you have a busy intersection. I'm bringing this back from a previous meeting when this was tabled. The Transportation Committee has recommended to our commission that we explore the physical space feasibility, only the space part, not whether this is a desirable thing to do or not, whether there is room for a roundabout at this intersection of Reservoir and Foxhall, intersection which we all, I think, realize is a little complicated and dangerous. And if improvements could be made that made sense, we would probably all support them. But I am not asking at this point for any agreement about whether a roundabout is the right decision. I think that's a premature discussion. And in fact, we would need to have considerably more discussion with the community about it once we knew the facts. Well, we don't know the facts because there is conjecture that a roundabout would not fit in this intersection and therefore is a non-issue. And so the purpose of spending some of our $79,000, in this case $3,600, to have a transportation expert take a look at the space requirements for a roundabout at that location. One of the issues that has been raised in discussions has been what is the traffic count currently at this intersection. What we have are traffic counts from 2022. I emphasize 2022. It wasn't 2020 during the COVID time, but at the same time, there is a view that traffic has increased even since 2022. It has been 3 years. What I propose that we do here is to ask the contractor to tell us whether a roundabout could be built in that space to handle the 2022 traffic count, and that we also ask the contractor to tell us at what multiple of the 2022 traffic count we would in fact find that the traffic circle had to be bigger and therefore would not fit. In other words, if the traffic count is 1.5 times greater than what it was in 2022, or if it becomes 2 times that in some future year, would this traffic circle not work? Because it would be too small. I think that overcomes the concern, that a legitimate concern about what we think the traffic count is, but more importantly, what we think the traffic count might be in future years. After all, if the city were to build a traffic circle here, it would be there through the lifetimes of all the people on this commission, including some who are much younger than me. So therefore, we need to build for the future. Some have asked, what would we do if the contractor were to find that there is in fact space for a roundabout? My proposal would be to take it back, first of all, to the Transportation Committee. Secondly, to take it out to the community, to discuss for the Transportation Committee to study more whether there are safety advantages and traffic management advantages to a roundabout in that location, given the way in which it would need to be built in that space, which we would find out through this contract. And if there were a favorable view of that, then to take it out into the community and have a discussion about it. And if then a decision were made by ANC3D that it would be a desirable thing to happen at that location, we would then take it to our council member and ask that council member, Councilmember Fruman at this point, to try to get money put into the budget for this. I do not think that, given the budget that DDOT has normally, that we could, that they're going to be, would put money into a project like this or many other projects unless there was strong support at the council level to essentially give them the extra resources for it. So that is the approach that I would recommend we take if, in fact, the contractor were to find that it would be possible in this space to have a roundabout. This is not a decision to have a roundabout. It's simply to gather more facts so that there can be further consideration by the Transportation Committee and by, possibly by the community. So I bring forward a motion to for the commission to authorize the letting of a contract by the chair for $3,600 under the contract proposal that is on the website. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, and is there a second for this?
I second.
Okay, Commissioner Duncan seconds. I just wanted to ask if committee co-chair Heimert had anything to add that was different than what Commissioner Elkins said.
Sure, I'm in a car from the airport, so apologies if the sound quality is not very good. I think Chuck really did present the issues well. I'd just like to highlight that I think few in the community are satisfied with how the intersection performs currently. And the ANC proposed some fixes to DDOT in July, but the idea of a roundabout was an effort to think a little bit more outside the box. And could there be a more significant reconfiguration that might improve things for everybody? As Commissioner Elkins said, we don't know if it's physically feasible to handle the traffic that will be there, but we also don't know that it's not. The presentation that the Transportation Committee saw last month and Commissioner Elkins has put up on the screen shows that at least physically it probably could handle the kind of roundabout that would be necessary, but that's where we really need the expertise of a traffic engineer. So that was genesis of this. As Commissioner Elkins has said, this is really preliminary scoping to see if it's feasible at all, and then we would take forward, if appropriate, if determined to be feasible, further discussions and steps at that point. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Duncan?
I would like to say that I have thought long and hard about my vote here today, and I will be voting in support of this proposal out of respect for the work that the Transportation Committee does. And I'd like to respect the recommendation that the committee has made. But I'd also like to let the neighbors who have written to us and who may be here watching that I do not believe that this is a determination that we need this there. It is just a feasibility study. And everything that I have been shown and data I've been shown and articles I've been shown about these roundabouts make it safer for drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, everybody. I know people don't believe that, but it seems to me to be true. So I would like to see if one fits here, but I would like to state for the record that this is not a vote on my behalf to, in the end, support a roundabout. But I am going to be supporting this because I think it would be interesting to know.
I'm going to be opposing this. I don't think it's worth the expense. my background or the way I'm thinking is that my wife and I have driven all over Europe, and we have been in many roundabouts, and they can be a really good thing. But I can't remember ever driving in a roundabout where there's a hill that is as steep as the one on Foxhall and the one on Reservoir. When you approach a roundabout, you really need to see what's going on. You need some time to figure out where you're going to fit in between the other cars. And so it works if it's a fairly level area and you can see all the different sides. But, you know, if you are going north on Foxhall, you're not going to be able to see anything. If you're going to be going west on Reservoir, you're not going to be able to see anything. And I just don't think that it's a practical location. It does not fit my experience with roundabouts, which, you know, I have no problem with roundabouts, but I just don't think it fits. Another commissioner have something to add? Yes, Commissioner Simkowitz.
I'll chime in. First of all, thank you to Andrew Beath and Andrew Heimert for bringing this to us. I'm not opposed to roundabouts 100%. I just think that this particular area is too narrow. It's just coming down roundabout, in my opinion, needs a lot of space to go around. This is a very narrow strip on both sides, Reservoir and Foxhall. There is the hill that is on Foxhall, and right next to the hill, there's a house with a retaining wall. That retaining wall can't be moved. On the other side of the intersection, we have the German embassy, and I doubt if they want to give up any of their land to extend for a roundabout. And even if they did, I think there's a pond or something right beyond that fence. On the other side, there is a group of houses, and on the other side of that, on the southeastern corner, are the houses that my mom and dad live in. And you know, you can't really go into the you know, the area there because you're going to be driving into their neighbor's yard. So I think physically a roundabout's never going to work here. And you know, I'd like to vote for this to fund a study, but I just think it would be a waste of money. And moreover, the second reason I don't want to fund a study is because DDOT has never given us one iota of interest in building the roundabout. So we could do the study, but it's going to go nowhere because DDOT has said that they won't do it. I've asked them for a statement on whether they would consider it. I've sent an email to the DDOT representatives, and they've never gotten back with me. They don't want to do this roundabout, so why spend the money if it's never going to happen? Thank you.
Commissioner Nowak?
You're muted.
Mute.
I share the concerns that Commissioner Simkowitz just raised, as well as Chairman Horns. I want to add to the list of concerns that while I think roundabouts may, in the correct circumstances, lead to a better flow of vehicular traffic, I think that they cause more problems for pedestrians than they solve. This is an intersection that has a fair amount of pedestrian traffic, and we should be focusing on how to make it safer for them. That's number one. The second thing, and this was brought up earlier, that there were some traffic calming measures that have already been put in place by DDOT. Those are not fully implemented. Including the expansion of the median on southbound Foxhall below the intersection at hand. There are the plastic pylons up, but the plan, as I understand it from DDOT, includes a hardened median being expanded as well. So I think that we have a situation where any action to harden an intersection, which is in the midst of a hardening already, would be premature. I think that this does not serve pedestrians, and I think that our efforts would be better served elsewhere in the community.
Commissioner Blumenthal?
I'm going to vote in favor of this. I don't have a lot to add to what Commissioner Duncan said. I generally associate myself with her remarks and the desire to support our committee. A lot of interesting opinions about what a roundabout might or might not do from all of us who are commissioners. I don't know whether they're right or not. I think spending 3,200, 3,000 some hundred from, didn't we just hear that we've got 5 years of accrued expenditures we haven't spent? That would better educate our committee and our commission, I think would be money well spent. And by the way, I've read a bit about this. Roundabouts reduce accidents generally for pedestrians by doing two things. They reduce the speed of cars approaching the intersection. No one is gunning it to make a yellow light or, before the light turns red. And they move the crosswalks back so they're more visible. Doesn't mean it would work here. Again, I'm not a traffic engineer either. I'd like to see what they would say, but that's, I don't want to repeat everything that's been said. I'll stop there.
Commissioner Cullen Roosevelt?
I'm not totally decided yet, to be honest. I think, yeah, I do wonder if we should communicate further with DDOT about this before spending the money, because I do think Commissioner Shimkwitz's point about, us spending the money on this when it's something that they will never do, or, they have no interest in doing at all. I'm just not sure if moving ahead right now is the best answer. I appreciate the initiative being taken by the members of the Transportation Committee and the members of this commission, for sure. And I also understand that we do have a lot of money, and we should probably think about how we want to spend it, because it could help out our community in a lot of ways. And I really think we should look at that more often, probably. But I wonder if we should try to facilitate some kind of communication with DDOT or Councilmember Fruman, at least get some kind of response before we allocate this money, just to ensure that it doesn't go to complete waste and it's not something that they will, never pursue, no matter what the results of the study are. Also, I know part of it was that we would provide the traffic counts, and I saw that we probably don't have that. And also Commissioner Nowak's concerns about, the entire street could be changed after the study is completed. I think maybe right now is not the best time, and we should probably talk to DDOT, talk to Councilmember Fruman, before we move forward with this. But I'd like to hear responses to that, I think. I mean, how much communication have we had so far? Has it just been silence? Because that's kind of shocking.
Commissioner Nowak was next, and then Commissioner Elkins.
No, I'm good. That was, sorry, from before.
All right. Commissioner Elkins?
I just wanted to respond to Commissioner Roosevelt's comments. In theory, it does make a lot of sense that we should go talk to DDOT, but I think those of us who talk to DDOT would have to tell you that that won't work. Who is it that you're going to talk to? And their basic reaction is, well, it's not in our book, and we know it's not in our budget. And so if we really do want to do things that are somewhat innovative, we have to take the initiative, in my view. DDOT is not going to be taking this kind of initiative. In theory, yes, we should ask them, but I think we would get either silence, which is what Commissioner Simkowitz has gotten, or a no. And I don't think that's very helpful. We get no's for them quite frequently, and we still know that we're correct. Not in this particular case, but in other cases where I think we're much more confident. So I would advise us not to wait around for DDOT to save us. We need to worry about the safety issues in our neighborhood. We need to take initiatives. I'm not for willy-nilly throwing away money from the commission, don't get me wrong. But really, I think we can afford this. The Transportation Committee is recommending it. I think we ought to go forward with it. Thank you.
Very good. Just point out in the chat, Andrew Heimert says that the Transportation Committee spoke to DDOT, which said it didn't have the capacity to undertake a feasibility study.
Yes, right.
Commissioner Nowak?
Yeah, I was just going to highlight Mr. Heimert's comment and point out that if they don't have the capacity to even handle a study, then they have even less capacity to do anything with the results of the study. And so are we just throwing our money into the Trevi fountain here? So just saying.
So Andrew Beef, you had your hand up for a while.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to speak to that. So I don't have a perfect memory. So maybe some of the other people that were in the meeting can clarify or can correct me. But we during Transportation Committee meeting, we had DDOT representatives, and that's what Andrew Heimert's referring to. And we asked them if they could, as it's saying, undertake this kind of feasibility study. And what that indicated was that they don't have the ability to do kind of a small study like this. They can do a much larger kind of concept, like they did, for example, for the Palisades Trolley Trail. But this sort of initial feasibility analysis of whether it's even possible, not developing a full-blown concept, is not something that they kind of have a process to do, right? So if I recall correctly, we kind of, the idea of doing this study, of us funding this kind of initial feasibility study, came out of that discussion as a way by which we could advance this forward when DDOT doesn't have a kind of a mechanism to do that initial, take that initial step. So it's, I think really what we're doing here is kind of filling a void and helping us kind of move this forward, or at least take it off the table if it's not. And again, a perfect world, DDOT would be able to do that feasibility study and so forth. But this idea very much came out of that discussion with the DDOT representatives. And I don't recall whether we actually, I want to say that we suggested this to them and that they indicated that it would be a good idea for us to go forward. But if somebody can back me, correct me on that. Or back me up either way, that'd be helpful. But it very much, this idea very much came out of the discussion with the DDOT representatives during the Transportation Committee meeting.
Thank you. Andrew Heimert?
Yeah, I was going to basically say what Andrew Beef just said, which is they don't have the capacity to do a feasibility study, but they did say that if an external study suggested it was feasible, and they were given money, say, by the council, as Commissioner Elkins suggested, then they would have the wherewithal to take something forward in the way of a more extended study, preliminary designs and the like. Again, leaving open whether it would actually ultimately come to fruition, but they would need something more. They just don't have a tool or a mechanism by which they can initiate sort of the kind of feasibility study that's been proposed here.
Good. Catherine Simolik asks on the chat, where can one find the 2022 traffic numbers for the intersection? Does anyone have an answer?
That was provided to us by DDOT, Christoph Wassmer, but I believe they have a website. I don't have it handy, that you can click on any segment of roadway and will give the most recent traffic count that they have for that. And the numbers were consistent with what I saw when he sent me that website.
I have those numbers here. And Mr. Heimert helped me know what does AADT stand for?
I don't know the
You don't know.
acronym, but I believe it's some sort of automated traffic count.
It's average daily traffic.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So you're right. Correct.
Okay, for Foxhall, it was 9083. And for Reservoir, it was 13131.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cologne Roosevelt.
And these are traffic counts from 2022, and we're going to be providing this. These are the numbers that they're going to be using for the study, correct?
I'm suggesting, Commissioner, that we ask them to first see if a traffic circle that would meet those traffic numbers could be fit in that space. If the answer is no, that's the end of it. If the answer is yes, we would ask them, please tell us where the 150% of those numbers could be met. And if the answer is yes, we would ask them whether 200% could be met. And I think on the basis of that, it would give the Transportation Committee a basis to look forward to the future and say, do you think this is something that could handle future counts? And at that point, we might have a good basis to go back to DDOT and say, could you do some new traffic counts? Because we now have a concept that we think could handle it. If in fact those are the facts, we don't know. But that's how I'm proposing that we take care of this traffic count issue, which of course is a real question, but it's not so much to me exactly what the counts are today, but more whether they can handle the future. Well, whether the roundabout can handle the future.
That makes sense.
All right. Seeing no other hands up, I think we should move to a vote. All in favor of spending, how much is it? Is 3,200 or
3,600.
3,600. Okay, $3,600 on this study. Say aye or raise your hand. In favor. So we have 4 in favor, and those opposed? 3 opposed. So it passes 4-3. Let's move on. The next is the approval of minutes. Commissioner Nowak.
I rise to ask the commission's approval for the July meeting minutes. They come with my apologies for the late distribution of the minutes. And I will certainly accept any edits from commissioners as you do a more detailed review. Do I have a second?
Yes, Commissioner Blumenthal seconds. Any discussion? Okay, shall vote in favor of approving the minutes. 6 or 7 in favor of approving the minutes?
Wednesday.
Okay, thank you. 7. Okay, the next is notice of the next meeting, which is October 8th, 2025. And is there anything further to say before we adjourn the meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I think we might make a point on the website to really bring the fact that this is the second Wednesday of the month. Otherwise, I think our constituents are always so used to the first. We will have people show up and there's no meeting. So maybe on the listservs as well, if we could do that. Thank you.
That was my point. Thank you.
And Commissioner Duncan, your hand is up?
You know what? It goes up when I go like this, and then I can help make the website, we can highlight it that it's the second Wednesday in October.
And thank you to Commissioner Duncan for assuming the role of our clerk in Catherine's absence.
I also Commissioner Elkins and Commissioner Nowak were all pitching in. Clearly, I made a few errors on the website, but I realized what happened now, so it shouldn't happen again. And hopefully, Catherine will be back with us at the end of the year. So this is temporary.
Catherine's contributions have been really helpful to this commission, and we miss her greatly.
Miss her a lot.
A lot.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. We are adjourned.